So at the end of the day, one of the core lessons of Tanakh, of the Hebrew Bible, is that everything that is in this world that's big and seemingly powerful is actually a complex assemblage of things that can produce ruptures and incoherences and ultimately can fall to pieces because one thing went wrong that could spread or that could grow, whether it's a plague that wipes out an army or a sling stone that pierces the forehead and makes all the rest of the armor irrelevant. There are a lot of forces in the world right now that seem very intimidating and very mighty to people sitting here in Israel. We look at Iran and say, well, there's a whole lot more of them than there are of us, and they could get nuclear weapons. And, they like to talk about how it's a lot easier to get rid of all of us with one or two bombs than it is, the reverse. We had a wonderful reminder shortly after this war began, which really was a war that Iran is waging against us, that Iran has internal divisions, such as the Baluchistani, independence movement that no one had ever heard of. And it ended up in a missile exchange with Pakistan over it, because the moment that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants Iran to just blow apart at the seams into 9 different ethnic states at war with each other, that can happen, right? And so we may need to deserve it in order for that to happen, but that kind of point makes you feel different when you're standing and you're David and you're facing Goliath, right? You're something smaller and you're facing something bigger. But is that bigger thing really, a well-oiled machine that's unstoppable under all circumstances, or is it, a paper tiger that's full of internal divisions that could just rip to pieces under its own internal tension at a moment's notice? And one has to point out, this is no less the case if you look at, America and Europe. And obviously, America and Europe are not enemies of Israel in the way that Iran is right now, but they are powerful entities with very sometimes aggressive attitudes about what their agenda is and how Israel needs to get in line with that agenda. And if it doesn't, maybe we should have some conversations about forcing Israel to do that. Maybe we needed, an international force to come here and make Israel do this or that because Israel won't listen. And all of these ridiculous conversations that Westerners get into. And the point is that at any moment that, let's say, the United States might, being the most, mighty military power in the world, and the, largest economy in the world, and everything else that makes it seem like it has all these levers it can pull that would strangle us or destroy us, if it would just move its pinky finger, right? The moment that the United States, Chas v'Chalila, really wanted to fully turn its face towards cursing Israel instead of blessing us, because it's obviously a very mixed bag right now. We know how easy it is for that whole jalopy, that whole, Rube Goldberg contraption to fall into chaos and disarray. We saw with COVID how quickly it was the case that the U.S. was flat on its back months after Trump was starting to, trumpet his intentions to bring about a peace process here in the land of Israel that could have led to some very painful situations where he could have been pressuring the Israeli government to give a plan for creation of a state for our enemies and things like that. And the point is that, Trump seemed unstoppable at that moment. It seemed like he was going to win a landslide re-election, and all it took was a virus, around the other side of the world starting to spread, and suddenly, he was out of the picture for a while, and the conversation shifted and, came to be about something else. Every moment that Israel stands for Hashem and does so with the resolve and with the talents and with the unique capabilities that this country has, and also with the kavanah, with the alignment of intention that we can have in this in this pure form that was enabled by the thousands of years of longing to see HaKadosh Baruch Hu's word fulfilled, right? That when we find ourselves in that situation, there's a million reasons why it can be practically and reasonably and rationally possible that although we stand and face great powers that seem to have the upper hand over us, that they can reach out, try to crush us, and find that their legs crumble underneath them before they even can deliver the first blow. And that can apply to our fiercest enemies, and that even can apply to our mediocre and confused and idolatrous friends. And we hope, B'ezrat Hashem, that as time goes on, that we will get more and more opportunities to convince more and more of the world by our example and through the light of Torah that we now have the opportunity to spread as the national center of this new kind of relationship with Hashem that has now become possible, that there will be more nations of the world who have no interest in joining the coalition of Gog and Magog, so to speak, and want to be aligned with the project of bringing Hashem's name and His Torah to the world through His worship in Jerusalem by Mamlechet Kohanim, the nation of priests that He has enjoined us to be in His land here.